For some reason, February has always been my favorite month, and maybe it's because we dedicate a whole day to celebrating love. And so I wanted this video to be a day where I celebrated self-love and showed you guys all of my favorite practices for self-care. So come along with me while I spend a day alone in nature, dropping into myself and doing all of the things that make my heart sing. I started this morning very slowly, as I always do. I made myself a warm drink. I came outside with my journal and a book. And I started with nature. It started to rain a little bit, but it's not super bad, so I'm just soaking it in. My toes are really cold. It's still winter. It's the beginning of February, but the sun is peeking out a little bit, so I wanted to soak in some rays as much as I can before it starts to get cloudy again. The sun hasn't been out much here this winter at all, so I've definitely been reveling in the cloudiness and just allowing it to spark creativity in me. I felt really inspired with the start of February. I have had poetry just flowing out of me. And if you're a writer or an artist or any type of creator, you know that flow state and how special it is to tap into. So I've been really in a flow state recently, but that's not to say that the good doesn't come with the bad. I feel like winter has definitely taken its toll on my mental health. And I'm just ready for the sun. Every single time the sun comes out, I just feel like myself again, and I feel like the world is waking up along with me. So I'm just slowly stretching my toes this morning, getting my alone time in before I tackle the rest of the world. I made myself a rose, butterfly pea powder, vanilla, peppermint latte. So good. So good. I added some nutmeg and some cinnamon, and it's just a warm, cozy drink, and I dressed it with some flowers to make myself just feel like it's February, it's love month. I absolutely adore February. It's always been my favorite month. I love that there is a day dedicated to celebrating love. Valentine's Day has been my favorite holiday since I was a little kid, so the entire month of February is just special to me. I feel like it's all reds and pinks and the beginning of spring, even though it's not necessarily spring. We just reached the halfway point between winter and spring, so it feels like it. Yeah, I just feel inspired. I've been writing again, which feels really good. I was shying away from writing for a really long time. I have grown up writing poetry and just using writing as a way to navigate the world. But recently I haven't been writing, and I've honestly been feeling like not myself. I've been feeling really out of tune and just really disconnected and just off. And I randomly was like, I just need to pick up a pen and find something to write about. I really just dove in recently, and it feels really nice to be back in that flow state. So if there's something that you love deeply and it ignites a part of yourself that nothing else can ignite, and you suddenly stop doing it, I think it's important to address why you're not doing that thing. Writing has always been something that I have to be completely still for. My mind has to be blank. I have to be completely present with myself. And when I stop doing it, it's definitely an indicator that something's wrong and that I'm hiding from something or I'm running from something within myself. And so I can use writing as a compass to direct myself back towards myself. It's like a North Star for me. Whenever something is wrong, if I stop writing, that's a key that I'm hiding from myself. And once I begin to write again, I uncover whatever was happening and I just find my way back to myself. So if there's something that you love doing, whether it's art or dancing or singing, anything really that your heart feels called to do and you randomly stop doing it, I think it's important to pay attention to. So it's my little 2 cents for this morning, but yeah. An herb that I really love for February is rose. I've been adding rose to everything, and rose is a very heart-opening herb, and it definitely soothes the heart. It's calming to the mind. It feels just very spring. I don't know. I've been loving rose in everything, and it's just a very soft herb. I don't know. It reminds me of childhood and playing in the rose garden and stopping to smell the roses. I think inviting rose into your life invites you to slow down and just stop and soak in the simple pleasures. And I think February is that. It's the bridge between winter and spring, where we're really in the middle of death and life and learning how to exist in the in-between. So rose is a nice bridging, soft, comforting herb for that reason. One of my favorite ways to show the people in my life that I love and care about them is by making them nourishing, yummy treats and food. That has always been one of my love languages. Ever since I was a little girl, I always loved baking and cooking meals for my family and delivering it to them and just nourishing them with the best food. And it definitely was stemmed from my love of being in the garden and watching as I nourished the land and then the land nourished me back, and I wanted to help bring this nourishment to other people. That's part of the reason why I study natural medicine and nutrition. But long story short, today I'm going to be making a yummy treat for my family. It's a super simple recipe that's super delicious. I'm going to be making peanut butter stuffed dates and mixing the peanut butter with some herbal powders to infuse it with some extra nutrition and extra herbal medicine. And then I'm going to be dipping it in this Hue dark chocolate, a hazelnut coffee one, to give it like a coffee mocha vibe. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be taking you along with me while I do that. If you're going to be making this recipe, make sure that you use medjool dates because they're the gooeyest, most caramely ones. Deglet dates are like kind of dry and not that great for this recipe. And then melt your chocolate however you feel like melting it. I am using a double royal method. And then you basically just take your dates and you can cut them if they're not already cut in half, but the ones from Trader Joe's are already cut in half and pitted. And then just line them up on a tray, and I'm going to show you the recipe for the peanut butter. My chocolate already had nuts like crunched up in it, so I'm not going to be mixing nuts into the chocolate, but I love adding like a crunch into the chocolate to add like a different texture. So if you don't have crunchy peanut butter, you can crunch up some walnuts or peanuts or something and put it in your chocolate so that it gives it like a crunchy, snickery taste, which I absolutely love, and it gives it like a new depth to it. You're gonna take some peanut butter and you're going to add about maybe like 1/4 a cup into a bowl. And then I like to add some extra sweetness to it. So I'm adding a spoonful of raw honey into the peanut butter mixture. This honey is for my bees, but if you have access to raw local honey, definitely get raw local honey because it has a lot more benefits for your body. I'm adding about 1 tablespoon. And then to that, you can add whatever herbs you have on hand. I'm adding in rose essence. I'm also gonna add in ashwagandha, and I'm adding in a little bit of hawthorn berry. Hawthorn berry and rose both open up the heart, and then ashwagandha is an adaptogen, which helps your body adapt to stressors. And right now, we're in the midst of changing from winter to spring, so all of those changes are going to have a toll on our body, so I just want to infuse it with some extra adaptogens. I made this tincture myself, but if you're looking for good herbal companies to support, I definitely love Gaia Herbs because it's sustainable, and I also really love Herb Farm because it's also really sustainable, and they both practice regenerative agriculture, which is beautiful. I'm going to add a splash of vanilla to it. Just give it that extra cookie flavor. And then mix it really well until it's all combined. Should look like this. And now you're just going to get a plate and probably line it with parchment paper. And now you're just going to stuff all your dates. So you take them, it's really simple. I don't know if I need to explain this, but you just stuff them with about like 1/2 tablespoon. And yeah, make sure you get these little things off, and if yours aren't pitted, make sure you get the pits out, or else it'll be an unfortunate surprise for your loved ones. Okay, once they're all stuffed, you're going to dip them in chocolate. It's pretty self-explanatory. Here is my melted chocolate. I basically just boiled water on the stove and then stuck it in the boiling water in this bowl, and then it melted. And I'm just going to take them and dip them in so that they look like that. And that's why the nuts are really nice, because it gives it that like nice nutty look. Baking is really fun because I feel like a kid, like you get all messy and it's like a little fun art project. I don't know. Ooh, make sure you don't get your hair in there. I should probably tie up my hair, but this is such a simple recipe that I'm not bothering with it. And this is just your reminder that it's not hard to show up for your loved ones. Like, this is literally taking me 5 minutes, and it'll make them feel super special that you even just thought of them and poured a little bit of time into making them something yummy and nourishing for their body. This recipe is super good because it's like super delicious, but it's also full of great ingredients. It will feel like they're eating a little Snickers bar, but with lots of nourishing, yummy ingredients. Okay, now I'm going to sprinkle it with some extra toppings to make it extra fun and pretty. Okay, I have decided on my toppings. I'm going to top them with coconut flakes. I'm also going to dust them with a little bit of rose powder. And then I think a little bit of flaky sea salt and call it good. I don't have like shaved, I just have these like big pieces, so I'm gonna like rip them up real fast. Okay, here is the finished product. I'm just going to pop these in the freezer and then they'll be done in like 5 to 10 minutes. But yeah, it's not hard to show up for your loved ones. They're definitely going to be so excited that I made this for them. And yeah, it makes you happy, it makes your heart happy, it makes their heart happy. And yeah, happy Love Month. Every single day, I make it a point to take myself outside on a walk. It is the single best thing that I have ever decided to commit to. It's a daily devotion to dropping in with myself and being still and being with nature alone. Yes, I am very blessed to live deep in nature, but this is accessible to anybody, anywhere. You can always go outside. You can always sit underneath a tree in a park, or at least in a patch of grass. There's nature all around us. We are nature. At the very least, go outside, look up at the sky, and connect to yourself, because you will be so grateful that you devoted that time to yourself and connecting deeply with nature. I'm on a walk at the river right now, and I wanted to stop and talk about how I literally cannot go more than 10 steps recently without needing to reach for my journal. I feel like I am in such a deep flow state because I have been listening to my practices, I have been dropping into my practices, and I have just been feeling so inspired. So I feel like a lot of people can relate to this who are artists. When you're in the flow, you're in the flow, and like the ideas just keep coming out and you have so much to say or so much to feel and you just need to get it out. I literally I can't go anywhere without my journal. I can't go anywhere without my book to write poetry in. And if I don't have it, then my notes app is just filled with so much. It's just filled with so much. So I just stopped and I was just standing, like writing by the river for a while. I couldn't even sit down, like I needed to get the ideas out. So if you are looking to get into a flow state, I definitely recommend just writing and doing a brain dump and seeing where your brain takes you. So yeah, I love you. Social media has the tendency to be so much of a highlight reel, and I know we've been talking about this for a while now as a society, but I genuinely just wanted to have a moment of realness with you guys as somebody who shows up very positively and wanting to be a positive light on social media. I tend to show the best parts of my life as well, and I have always struggled with anxiety, like I've talked a little bit with you guys about on here, and recently I feel like I've been back in that pit of anxiety where no matter how many of my tools I lean upon, there's still this pit of hollowness in my stomach, and it's been bleeding into my relationships, and it's been causing me to want to isolate and just restrict and put myself back into that little box that anxiety likes to put me into, where I hide from the world and just suffocate in my own thoughts. While it's really important for me to spend time alone and to gather myself and to just deal with my thoughts myself, I think it's also important to practice opposite action. If you're somebody that tends to self-sabotage and have these self-sabotaging behaviors where you know it's good for you to go and socialize, but you tend to self-sabotage and keep yourself alone inside, or if you have another mode of self-sabotage, I won't get into all of them because I know they can be triggering, I think it's important to practice opposite action. For me, if my coping skill, my self-sabotaging coping skill is to restrict myself from foods, and to go back to old eating disorder behaviors, then my opposite action would be to call a friend and ask them to get dinner. And that kind of tackles two of the self-sabotaging behaviors, meaning that one of my self-sabotaging behaviors is to isolate and spend a lot of time alone, and then the other one is to restrict and control my life through food. And so through opposite action, I can take myself out of that and tell myself, nope, we're not doing this. We're going to push ourselves a little bit and put ourselves in a situation where we cannot self-harm in that way. And this is all easier said than done, I know, but even just small opposite actions, like if your self-sabotaging behavior is to just isolate, then maybe you call a friend for like 5 to 10 minutes. And even though that's not fully diving into a socialization activity, you are still placing yourself in community, which is really important. And if yours is similar to mine and you restrict, then maybe your opposite action would be something a little bit smaller, because going out to dinner is a big feat, but maybe your opposite action would be to just make a quick snack, whether that be something that's a safe food or something that's a fear food, just opposite actioning your mind a little bit to place yourself back into a state of control, but not control in the bad way. Opposite action has been such a big part of my healing journey and just challenging my own thoughts. I'm just going to continue on with my day and soaking in all of the little love-filled pockets and moments. I hope that you are doing the same. You're finding little pockets of presence scattered throughout your day that you can reach in and grab whatever you need, like a deep breath or a hug or a self-care practice throughout the day. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah, my heart feels so full. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I hope you enjoyed today's vlog. I love you. Until next time.